I think it's time that I updated everybody. It's been a while since I've made one of these videos. So in this video, I'm going to update you guys on what's going on with my live account, the broker that I'm using for that account, what I've learned so far by trading a live account, and why I'm staying away from prop firms for a little while. All right, so first off, let's update you guys on what's going on with my live account. It's gone. It's not completely gone. I'm down below the minimum margin required for me to trade futures. ES is what I've been trading recently, and so for me, I'm counting that as a blown account. I started the account with $200. My goal was to get to $2,000 with that. The minimum requirement in order to trade either NQ or ES is $100. So I fell below that for the first time, and so I'm calling that a loss. I'm calling it a blown account. I lasted 30 days, which honestly I'm going to call that part a win, because trading just $200 worth of capital and trading NQ and ES, I think is pretty good, lasting 30 days. On day 30 is when I dropped below the minimum margin requirements. And, to be honest with you, I didn't think I was going to make it 30 days. This was kind of just a test thing. I had a goal. I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to trade in live, markets, not a demo account. I wanted to experience that and see how it is to trade through a broker. And, I did have that goal. I wanted to reach $2,000 with that amount. But it's really hard. It's really hard. That amount of capital is really difficult to trade, to be able to leave yourself enough room for drawdown, to be able to build that account up. So I'm proud of myself for making it 30 days with just $200, but I am going to call it a loss. I'm going to take the L on this one. I did not make it to my goal, and I'm going to start over. Let me know in the comments, let me know what you guys think. Being able to make it 30 trading days, trading NQ and ES with just $200. Let me know what you guys think. So that's the update there. What did I take away from trading a month with a live account in live markets through a broker, not through a prop firm and all this? I can tell you the biggest takeaway that I think for me is trading in a live account where there are no stupid rules hanging over you that are like looming in the background. That you have to hit this consistency rule, or you don't get paid, or you don't pass the challenge, or you need this amount of money left just to pass the challenge, and then you end up over trading and you lose. All of that stuff, I need 5 days of this amount of money per day in order to get eligible for a payout. Like, all of those rules, in my opinion, are there not to protect you guys or us as traders, right? They're there to protect the prop firm. At the end of the day, these prop firms are businesses, and they need to make money. And how do they make money? Well, it isn't the split for the few people that they have that are trading in live accounts. It's us failing, us continuing to buy challenges and to reset challenges, and that's how they make their money, right? So there has to be these set of rules or qualifications so that these guys can make money. And I'm not knocking them, don't get me wrong here, okay? I think prop firms have a place in the trading space, and we'll talk about that in a second. But what I learned was not having all of that hanging over me left a ton of mental space for me to focus on my strategy and on the process. just focus on that. It left so much room for me to just focus on trading, the simple aspect of just trading without having all of this stuff in the background, like, oh, that was the biggest takeaway for me. And I was able to make progress in my training because of that, because I was able to, focus on what we all need to focus on in the beginning is the process, not the dollar amount. You got to take money off your screen, all of these other things intertwined with prop firms and stuff. If you take away all of that, you're left with nothing but you, your strategy, and the process. And man, was it a relief to have that. That was my biggest takeaway. Now, again, I'm not knocking prop firms. I think prop firms have a very important place in this space, but you have to have a strategy and a process that is already working. Okay? Something basically I'm saying is you need to already be profitable before you start using prop firms, in my opinion, because prop firms can be a great tool to gain capital, but you're not going to gain capital if you don't have something that already works. You're going to spend, right? You're going to lose capital because you're just going to keep buying challenges and resets and whatever. So until you have something that actually works, that's proven, and you can do it, okay, I don't think that trading in a prop firm is good. I think it holds you back, and I think it was holding me back. So what else did I learn from this experience? Well, the next big thing that I took out of this whole thing, for me anyway, was the mindset change. I think, again, speaking for myself, trading prop firms where it only costs you $30, $40, $80, to get into a challenge doesn't really leave a lot of room for I can't fail, right? Because it doesn't cost much to get back in, right? And to just try again. Trading your own capital, especially a decent amount, and $200 by any means is not a decent amount, but I still was able to get that change in mindset, that whole $200 was mine, and all of it was at risk. So the mindset that I had changed a little bit, and I think that's what kind of played into me lasting 30 days with just $200, because I was so careful, I was so picky to get into trades because I didn't want to lose that money, right? It also taught me to start looking at where the stop loss needs to be versus just where it's going to go based off of a dollar amount. So in other words, where does the stop loss need to be based off of support or resistance or, structure in the market versus, I'm going to enter here, so now my stop loss is going to go here because I only risk $50 at a time. That doesn't work. And so I found myself actually, doing the math and figuring out what each contract is worth per point or tick and whatever. And as I'm getting ready to possibly enter a position, I'm already figuring out where the stop loss has to be and how much I'm going to be risking in that trade. And if it was more than what I was willing to risk with the amount of capital that I had, I didn't take the trade. It was that simple. And to have that whole mind, I think that if I just continue to trade in prop firms where it really doesn't matter, because, you're not trading your own money, I would have never have learned that aspect and now be able to look at the price points and say, okay, this is going to be a $5 stop, so I'm risking on ES $5 per point per contract, so it's going to cost me this amount of money. And then I knew that this is how much I'm going to lose if the trade goes against me, and I had to be okay with that before I placed the trade. Totally shifted my mindset versus before I was just saying, okay, this is my entry and this is how much I'm risking. And, more times than not, my stop loss is going to get taken out. And then it ends up going my way, right? We all experience that because I wasn't being specific with not my entry, my stop loss. And my entry was then based on where my stop loss needed to be based on market structure, support, whatever. That was a big change for me, and a big change for the better, I think. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, this is something I wish that I really focused on and learned a long time ago. I think I would have been way ahead of where I am now if I was looking at my entries that way, based off of the stop loss, not based off of the entry and the target, right? Because that's what I think a lot of people focus on, is like, how much money am I going to make on this? No. How much am I losing before you take that entry? That's the question that you need to ask yourself, is how much am I losing if I enter here, and am I okay with that? Because the other part of that was leaving my stop loss alone, which has been a big problem for me. And because I was able to shift the way I was entering positions based off of the stop loss, I was able to feel more comfortable leaving my stop loss where it was set, because now it was based on market structure. And if price went to where my stop loss was, then the trade was actually invalid, right? It invalidated the trade. And then I could say to myself, like, well, I'm okay with that. I got in based on my rules. This is where the stop loss was supposed to be. And if it triggered the stop loss, it didn't turn around and go the way that I wanted it to go. At that point, it was invalid and the trade wasn't correct, right? It went against me, period. And I was okay with losing money for that, right? Instead of losing money and then the trade takes off and hits wherever your TP was in 30 seconds. Like, so that whole mindset change and learning how to, figure all that out, depending on what you're trading and everything else, was a big learning point for me. And I don't think that I would have been able to really learn that, at least anytime soon anyway, if I didn't put myself in a position of trading a $200 live account. The other thing that I really kind of picked up on was, these prop firms, like, you're buying a 50K account. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're absolutely not, because whatever the drawdown is the size account you're buying. So you're paying $100 in some cases for a 50K account. Nope. You're paying $100 for a $2,000 account, because you can only risk $2,000. That's it. That's all. You can only risk $2,000. You cannot risk 50K or 100K or 150K. So that account, that amount, is completely false, and it's just fucking with your head. That's all it's doing. You don't have a 50K account. You have a $2,000 account. So thinking of it that way now, also, it's like, how many times have you paid for a challenge account, and how many times have you reset that challenge account? Can you have already taken that amount of money and saved up $2,000 and put it in a live account with your own broker and not be trading with all those stupid rules? I bet the majority of you probably could. And when that clicked in my head, I'm like, why am I going to keep putting money into these prop firms until I know for a fact that I'm going to pass the challenge in a day or two or whatever and be able to take payouts. I'm not going to keep doing that. I'm just going to take the money that I would have put into a prop firm and put it into a live account with my broker and trade that without any rules. That way, if I made $100 one day and I want to take that $100 out, I can. There's no rules. There's no rules to that. As long as you have the minimum margin requirements in your account to be able to continue trading, you can take whatever you want out the day of. That's a big thing, I think, especially mentally, to be able to pay yourself when you want to without having to struggle to get to 5 days of green, of 100 or 200 out. Like, all of that is messing with your mental capacity to focus on what you really need to focus on, and that's the process to become profitable. Once you become profitable, go buy 5 fucking challenges accounts somewhere and copy trade those, and yeah, take payouts. But before then, you're wasting money, my opinion. Those are the big takeaways that I found in the last 30 days of trading a live account with a broker. And I think those takeaways are huge. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments, start a conversation. I think it's more beneficial as a new trader to paper trade, and then when you feel comfortable enough, find a broker that you like, put a few $100 into it, and trade the live markets, and do that until you become profitable, and then go use prop firms. And you'll probably be way more successful, way quicker than the majority of the people out there trying to become traders. Let me know what you guys think. If you're interested in seeing who I use, I'll leave all the links down below for my broker. Love them so far. The trading software, the platform that I use, which works great with my broker, and everything else. I'll leave all the links down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share, do all those things. And I hope you got something out of this video. Let me know what you think. Leave me some comments down below, and we'll see you next time.